Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I have Owen Barrett on the line, and he's the CEO of Shine, which provides solar for apartments. Owen, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so first thing first, I got to ask, Shine, where did you come up with that name for? I love it.
It's kind of on the nose, right? But I don't know. My least favorite part of coming up with a business is like the name and the branding, because it can take so long and it just kind of distracts you from doing what you want to do, which is obviously the business model. But yeah, I mean, it works for this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, Shine, I was like, come on, man, who did that one? No, it's good. So how'd you get into this business? How'd you get into solar?
Oh, man. So I started off in finance. I kind of noticed that I had a knack for financial analysis, but didn't really like the financial industry. So I went to grad school for environmental science. That launched me into a career as an energy manager for a Fortune 100 company. I was there for about 3 years. Then I quit to start my own company. And I've been doing kind of the entrepreneurial journey within the clean tech sector for the last decade.
And what geographies do you work in?
We are nationwide for Shine, which is super exciting.
Fantastic. Well, let's go a little bit further into kind of the benefits of what you're doing. So environmental, social impact, talk to me a little bit more about what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, so from an environmental perspective, 40% of global emissions are from the built environment, right? So buildings that are already existing. We cannot curb greenhouse gas emissions if we don't figure out how to decarbonize existing buildings. It's just that straightforward. So Shine focuses on exactly that. We decarbonize existing apartment buildings by installing solar on the tenant meters, which is a big distinction because most solar companies go after the common area meters, like the leasing office, the fitness center, et cetera. 90 to 95% of emissions within an apartment building come from tenants. So if you're only installing solar to offset the common area loads, it's the drop in the bucket. It's not even worth mentioning. So we distinguish ourselves by going after the tenant load, which is a bigger one. From a social perspective, it's really interesting because a lot of people talk about getting the benefits of clean technology to low and moderate income individuals, LMI individuals, and they by far and large live in apartment buildings. So again, if we can't figure out how to get solar to the apartment unit level, not just the common area meters, we can never get the benefits of cheaper, cleaner electricity to tenants. Generally, electricity from solar increases, the price of it increases a lot slower than electricity from the grid. So by installing solar on tenant meters, you can kind of take off some of that inflationary burden that the utilities have been putting on people the last 5-10 years. And then finally, the financial piece, it costs about $6,000 is a gross cost to install solar per apartment unit. It's eligible for about a 30% tax credit, which you can sell and turn into cash. So the net cost is about $4,000, and it generates about $600 a year in NOI. So if you put, 5, 6, 7% cap rate on that $600 per unit per year in NOI, it usually adds about 2 to 3 times in value what the system cost you. So it really is a triple bottom line approach.
Wow. How did you come up with this business model?
We bought 650 apartment units ourselves as our guinea pigs, I guess you can call them. And we wanted to figure out how can you actually decarbonize solar, apartments, not just talk about it, but how do you actually do it? And it turned into this crazy journey where we had to develop a software platform because if you think about your average apartment building, say it's 200 units, you have to install 200 small solar systems. You need a way to bill 200 tenants. You need a way to monitor those 200 systems, and it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist outside of Shine. And the only reason why is because we had kind of purpose-built this thing, the problem that we were going after. And then we realized, instead of using this tool to help us buy more apartment buildings, let's turn it into a turnkey niche solar EPC for the multifamily industry, because that's really what's missing in the space.
So what kind of adoption have you had so far? How's this? Talk to me about scaling this and spreading this idea.
Oh, it's growing like crazy. 2023 was the first year of Shine. That was after, I think, 6 years of buying our own apartment buildings. So, Shine itself is fairly new, but sort of the expertise in the business model is not. Had zero revenue in 2023, had about $500,000 in revenue in 2024, and we're on track to do about $7 million in 2025. So It's just exploding. And the reason why is apartment owners generally want to decarbonize, especially within sort of the institutional space. most just don't know it's possible to install solar on tenant meters. And so we're on this big just educational campaign to let people know it's possible.
Wow. So I can imagine, like, yeah, I didn't know it was possible, like, until you just mentioned it. Like, I was like, what? Wait a minute. How did that? I didn't even know that passed me by. What areas are you seeing a lot of adoption? Are you in California, Arizona? Like, what kind of areas are you seeing a lot of adoption?
Yeah, we do work in California. I mean, the idea was kind of born in California. At the time, I was living in Southern California. My partner still lives there. But we've seen a ton of adoption in Texas. Texas is a really incredible market because most people are unaware, but the cost of electricity for residential meters in Texas is actually fairly high. It's not too far off California. The cost of electricity on commercial meters in Texas is like extremely low. And so again, most building owners are used to thinking about installing solar on their commercial meters, where it's really hard to get the unit economics to work. But if you flip the equation on its head and you use the residential electric rates, it makes, all the sense in the world. You start talking about like a high teens IRR. And so we're seeing Texas is probably our fastest growing market because of the cost of electricity and the solar irradiance. There's just, there's a ton of sunny days and the sun's fairly strong in Texas.
So what's your next step for the business? Like, talk to me about, obviously you're growing like mad. What's the next steps?
Well, we raised a seed round, which we're pretty excited about. So we're kind of in a moment of hiring right now, and we have a couple of projects going on with two of the top 5 largest apartment owners in the U.S. So for us, it's really just focusing on execution of those projects, because we know that if the first couple projects are successful, then they're just going to scale within their portfolios. So it's always focusing on execution, making sure that we have great, experiences with the customers, the tenants have good experience with us. And then just, again, this educational campaign of letting other owners know that it's possible now to install solar on tenant meters, and just kind of seeing where the journey goes.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting, and that execution piece is going to be key. What are some of the hurdles that you obviously there's going to be many, but what are some of the hurdles that you kind of foresee as you scale this? I'm trying to fathom, because there's 200 apartments per. My head is spinning right now. And thinking about your logistics. Talk to me about some hurdles, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, right? Every project. So again, that 200 unit property, it's 200 sets of plans. It's 200 permits. It's 200 points of interconnection. I mean, it's kind of a monster to take on.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it for a while. So we have all of our systems in place. We're sort of unique in the solar contracting world. I think we're the only group doing this style of installation.
I think that's an understatement to say unique, Tom. The only one's crazy enough to attempt it. I'm going to say that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're being rewarded, but
Yeah. So, I mean, fortunately, we've done a lot of the legwork now. It's just, obviously we want to grow as fast as possible, but we also want to grow responsibly, because as owners of apartments ourselves, we recognize that if a large owner installs solar for the first time and they have a good experience and the actual numbers hit the pro forma numbers, they will scale across their portfolio, which is huge for us. If they have a bad experience, they'll not evaluate solar again for probably 5 years, 10 years. And so we're sort of in control of our own destiny in that regard. And so that's, again, why the execution piece is just so important.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm just throwing this out there, and I don't know if you have these metrics, or I'm just thinking about some of the benefits and going through in my head. It seems like as a tenant, let's say I'm moving into a apartment, that's a big draw for me, I feel like. Have you noticed that, or have you gotten any feedback like that? That'd be pretty cool.
So we have had that feedback. We've also had the alternate feedback, though, which is, I don't believe in climate change. I hate solar. I'm not going to live here. Right? Because, I mean, the issue is kind of 50-50 depending on who you're talking to.
So it depends on region, maybe? I shouldn't go there right now.
Yeah, it probably depends on region. But, I think regardless of politics, everybody wants to save money, right? Life is more expensive for everyone, whether you're Democrat, Republican, believe in climate change or not. So
in that
from the exactly, get them where it matters. So from a tenant perspective, if they're paying $100 to the utility now per month pre-solar, we come in and install solar, their utility bill drops to $50 a month. So now they're saving $50 a month. And of that $50 savings, they're paying a portion of it to the owner. So they're paying anywhere from $20 to $45. So there's always net savings to the tenants, which is super important. How big those net savings are is entirely up to the owners. but I feel like dollars speak to both sides of the aisle. So in theory, it shouldn't really matter what someone's perspective is of climate change or clean technology. They just want to save money.
Yeah, good old capitalism. I'm in. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that get them there. I agree with you, Owen. This is great. Well, Owen, man, first off, thank you for coming on the show today and educating me on this because I didn't know it was available, and for my audience as well, for those that did not know. So it sounds to me like you're working. I mean, you guys are growing like crazy. How do people connect? How do they follow up if they want to learn more? A lot of business owners, a lot of investors, multifamily that listen to this show. How do people learn more?
Yeah, so they can reach out. My email is owen@getshine.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Owen Barrett, and then our website is getshine.com, and there's a little contact form on there too.
Fantastic. And for everybody watching and listening, just so you know, we'll put the links in the show notes so that you can just click on them and head on over to getshine.com. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, I'm bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Owen, man, I look forward to hearing and seeing more of your journey. Congrats on all the growth, man. And I know you guys are just going to keep on knocking it out of the park. So again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. It was fun.